Donk Nation, Jackson, Janet's greetings and welcome to your daily dose of donkey with Ginger. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, bringing you the Steelers talk. Because, like I said last time, I was joined by Gingy, but this time I'm joined by Laskers as well. We're done with the nonsense. It's time to be serious. The preseason is over. We're getting ready to cut rosters down to 53 and play those 49ers. But before we get into that, preseason done, that means there's some things to talk about, Gingy.
Woo-wee, Mutant Gingy in the house. Yeah, there's some things to talk about, Donkey. Kenny Pickett, that team's offense.
Baby
clicking.
Hands and all.
Clicking.
Baby hands and all, baby.
5 drives, 5 tuts in the preseason. What an exhibition thus far. It looks like him to Pickens is pretty much occurring at will, as it is really with the other receivers. We basically got three running backs in the backfield that we're switching in and out. They're really all different situational as well. I think it adds a new dimension. Donkey, we might not be able to call the Steelers offense this year. Cross your fingers.
Looks good. It looks deep everywhere. Jalen Warren looks explosive. Calvin Austin III looks explosive. That's a dimension this offense didn't have last year, Gingy. That, to me, is the most encouraging part. But the least encouraging part is going to be Allen Robinson, supposed to be a big addition, big guy for this receiving room, and he just didn't seem to exist when he was on the field. To me, he looked slow. The hands were fine, but if you're slow in the NFL, you're done.
Yeah, I hear you, Donkey, but it's that wide receiver room as well. I think it's really good to have a guy, as long as he's a team guy, a good practice guy. I think that that can make him a very good addition to that locker room with a lot of young receivers in it.
That's what I'm hoping for. Maybe some keeping 4 tight ends, as Baby Hayward now plays a little bit of fullback, running back, and all the other 3 really fit in well. I mean, Washington, huge body. Gentry, huge body. Freiermuth, huge body. And we saw that Pickett to Freiermuth connection early in the preseason with that 25-yard touchdown. Is this the tight end room that's going to warp a pretty talented-looking wide receiver room? And Laskers, you got some feedback going on.
Oh, I have some feedback going on?
Yeah, echo on the Laskers.
How are they?
That's weird.
Where's Connor Hayward going to fit out on this team, Donkey? Eventually, that's what I'm thinking. That's your wild card right there. You see, I think that you could put him a lot of different places. Really switch up that offense.
You remember back in the day when they were giving us Dree Archer and how Dree Archer is going to be the Swiss Army knife you could put anywhere? Well, it turns out the Steelers' Swiss Army knife is not a small, little, fast guy, Gingy. Of course, being the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steelers' Swiss Army knife is going to be an undersized, physical, big body guy, right? It just fits with the Steeler culture, does it not?
It's true. We need a human bowling ball, and we have one.
You got to move that steel.
That's for sure. Laskers, getting into this wide receiver room. That's what we're talking about. Bottom of this wide receiving depth chart, there's not a whole lot of talent. There's not a whole lot of playmaking going on. We brought in, they were hoping Cody White could do something, but the dude just looks slow and doesn't catch the ball all that well for a slow, big body receiver. They brought in Keem Butler, 6'5", runs a 4.3. Had a great year in the XFL. Dude did nothing. So now we're talking again, bottom of the wide receiver chart. You're looking at Gunnar Olszewski. We all seen that, been that. Backup special teams type of guy. And Miles Boykin, same thing. Big body guy who never really panned out. Do you think the Steelers should look to add another receiver from roster cuts that are upcoming and looming, or do you think we run with one of those 2 guys at the 5 because of their value on special teams? And is it potentially we run 6 and keep both?
I think we got to add someone. I mean, we've all watched Gunnar fumble a ball that
fumble the playoffs away.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't good. So I think we got to add someone, get rid of them, and see who is available out there, because I'm sure there's someone who's a little bit better than them.
Now, Gingy, we move on to the offensive line here. Preseason talk, obviously going to talk about who's making the team. You got the starting five set right now. It's going to be Moore. It's going to be Simualu. It's going to be Cole. Why the heck am I slipping? Daniels. And going to be a core four, right? Starting five, pretty clear, pretty simple. Broderick Jones going to start the year at swing tackle. Big bro Herbig going to be probably depth at interior. Now, that's 7. The Steelers normally carry, 9 to 10 linemen. So that's 2 spots still going. Does Kendrick Green make this team again? Does DeMar Dotson make this team again? LaRaven Clark, a guy we brought in, does he make the team? Does the rookie Spencer Anderson, who can play tackle, guard, and center, make this team? Where is the Steelers' depth going to come? And are we finally going to see the end of Kendrick Green?
I think that we are. I would like to see some of them younger, versatile guys get a chance. Kendrick Green, your time has come and gone. Your time has come and gone. The chances have been had. Donkey, what is there really tape to show that that could be a success?
I will say this. He has looked like the worst center in the history of centers, but I will give him his kudos. He played right guard last preseason game, and he actually looked passable as a backup offensive lineman. I'm not going to say he looked good. I'm not going to say he looked great, but I have ripped on him so hard. It's only fair I point out when I see good things from him. And playing in there at right guard, he looked okay, Gingy. That's the only thing I'll say. And the last preseason game is a time to really make your stamp. Does the fact that he played a good final preseason game maybe give him a chance, be it a former third-round draft pick, former starter for this Pittsburgh Steelers team?
I don't know. Might be too little too late, Donkey.
I hope so. I really do, based off of what I've seen from him. But neither here nor there. And then, final question for both of you. Offensive side of the ball, that is. Steelers keep all 4 tight ends, and do the Steelers keep 3 quarterbacks, or do we finally go to the 2 quarterbacks, 1 on the practice squad deal?
Ooh. Well, Laskers, go for it.
Well, like I said earlier when we were talking, I didn't watch any of the preseason games, so I don't know about any of the tight ends, but no, I don't think we keep 3 quarterbacks. I think we put 1 on the practice squad.
Bad news for Mason Rudolph, Gingy.
I was going to say so. At that point, which one do you put on there? And given what we've seen this preseason, that's got to be Mitchell Trubisky. He's hit a couple nice deep balls, as he has done for the last 3 years. He's hit a couple of nice deep balls. Folks in stride, one to Calvin Austin earlier this preseason. Nice ball in stride. Yeah, that puts him at number 2, I feel.
Mason's the better thrower of the ball, but we didn't just extend the boy there, Trubisky, for him not to be the backup. And albeit as a backup, he's okay. If you watch the preseason, his accuracy on the deep ball, still god-awful garbage. His ability to check down when receivers are open deep, still happening. But he still has those legs that give him that dimension that I think is what makes him a good backup quarterback, because I've said this before, I think your backup quarterback has to be able to run in this league, and that is something Trubisky brings, albeit it seems he's been really good helping out with Kenny Pickett, and that's a huge thing going forward. I personally prefer Mason Rudolph, but there's no doubt it's going to be Mitch Trubisky. He's a guy with that bigger track record. He's a guy that has proven, and we saw it last year, he has the ability to not lose you football games. I don't know if he has that ability to win you them, but he has that ability not to lose. And say what you want, ever since Colbert and Tomlin got together, that's been the Steelers' thing. But
Ravens game, Donkey.
Okay, he definitely came in and single-handedly lost that game. I was talking more when he starts a game and you can actually game plan for Mitch, because I'm going to be honest with you, and I said this before, I want to see what Canada does this year, building the offseason offense around Kenny Pickett, because it's clear after the bye week when this team got better, it's because we were doing things we didn't do early in the season. I think we didn't do those things early in the season because Matt Canada realized Mitch Trubisky can't do certain things. And this is a guy who's now been in this system the whole time, knows these receivers. The Steelers like him. I'm going to be honest here. He seems like a well enough dude. He said some things that kind of pushed me a little sideways, but he's showed up. He's been a good backup, and he's taken to the job, albeit well. And when we watch this preseason, I mean, yeah, both his touchdowns required penalties to give him more than 3 plays, but hey, here we are. We're going now. We're going forward. Actually, before we get to defense, I guess there's one thing I forgot to ask. So clearly, Najee, Jalen Warren, 1-2 combo. McFarland's going to be number 3. Any question about that, Gingy?
No, not in my mind.
Fair enough, because that's what I see too. Now let's talk special teams. Obviously, Boswell's going to keep his job. The lucky upright kicker's not going to take it. Looks like Kuntz is going to be the long snapper. And looks like Big Press is going to keep the punting job. Laskers, Big Press actually showed really good consistency this preseason. I believe there was a game he had 6 punts and all were downed inside the 20-yard line, albeit only like a 38-yard average. But when you're pinning the team inside the 20 every time, that's what a punter's supposed to do, right?
Well, that's definitely what he's supposed to do, and hopefully he can keep it during the regular season. You know, that's the biggest question. You know, can the pressure get to him?
Consistency has been what killed him. Remember, we called him Shankopotamus for a while because Shanks were there. Gingy, are the Shanks gone?
Let's hope so. I mean, I haven't seen any yet this preseason, so you can only hope so. I don't know though. I felt that's a confidence guy, don't you think? Don't you think those kickers, Donkey, they're confidence guys? They upward spiral. You know, you get a few, you get better. You have a few bad ones, maybe you go a little down.
They're like bullpen pitchers, and year to year, one can be great and the next year be bad because you have to be able to be in a situation where you're not prepped for the situation. You're just thrown in it, and you got to get the job done. Like a quarterback knows when he's going on the field. The defense knows when they're going on the field. And when a turnover happens, teams score more often because the other unit isn't prepped the way they should be. As a punter, you have to be ready to go on a drop of a dime. So, yeah, I see it that way. He needs to have confidence every time out there he's doing the same thing and doing it right. And maybe he figured out what was causing the yips or the shanks or whatever you want to call them. And if he has, we've seen it. That dude has a leg to boom it.
Massive boomer. Absolutely, Donkey.
For sure. Now, let's get to the intriguing side of the ball. Defense and Laskers. Do we want to talk the good or do we want to talk the bad first?
Let's talk the bad first.
All right, the bad. I have zero faith in any of these inside linebackers, but, every one of them has shown glimpses. You turn on the first game, Mark Robinson looks like a starter. You turn on the second game, Cole Holcomb looked passable as a depth piece, and Quan Alexander looked like a stud in the second game. You turn on the third game, hey, Landon Roberts is about to become James Ferrier. It's what it looked like.
Yeah, I agree with all that assessment.
You turn on the other games, they all look exactly like every linebacker we've had the last 2 years. All these guys have shown glimpses. Can any of these guys show the ability to be consistent in there? I mean, they love Landon Roberts. There's no doubt about it. It sounds like they're giving him the green dot. But is there going to be consistency from any of these guys? And did I leave out a name anyone's curious in? Are you thinking Kilotoski can come back, be healthy, and show something? Or maybe you're a fan of Tanner Muse making this team. I named the 4 I thought I would go with. But Laskers, any hope that the inside linebacker is going to be a strength instead of the scary part for this team?
There's some hope, but you know, it's all going to come down to how can they perform, and you know, we got to cross our fingers and dot our I's and dot our T's and just pray.
True that. Gingy, any hope for you?
Gingy swooping in with some hope. All right, we're talking about an entire new middle. All those guys that you mentioned. All right. Brand new faces to the organization. I think they get some time with some of them starting reps when you have a Highsmith flying in on one side and a TJ Watt flying in on the other side. You know, it opens up opportunities for these guys in the middle. So we're talking about, you know, chemistry and gelling as a unit. These are brand new faces, Donkey. Let it unfold. Let it unfold.
Hey, no talking about my closet points before I get there, all right? But, yeah, all these guys have shown things. I think the most encouraging to me is I watched Quan Alexander when he played in Tampa, and the dude flew around the field. I also watched him since his 2 leg injuries, and the dude looks slow. I'll tell you what, that Quan Alexander looked like the borderline Pro Bowl Quan Alexander from Tampa. If he can stay healthy and play at that level, I think he has to be the guy. And I understand we signed Cole Holcomb to be the top one based off money if you look at it. But Cole Holcomb looks like the worst of the four I named. Not giving up on him. Leg injuries take 15 months to heal. He's like 10 months into recovery. I don't expect him to be 100% yet. I know a lot of people do. I don't. Really, Cole Holcomb was signed for the future of that position, and we'll see what happens. Week 10 is probably where you'll see him hopefully get up to full strength. But there's another problem area for me, Gingy. And yes, I know we have the safeties who honestly looked okay. I mean, you know what you're going to get from Minka, but I didn't see much out of KZ, and I didn't see much out of Keanu Neal. And then the fight for the depth parts after that. Killebrew probably makes it due to special teams prowess, but Tristan Thompson looks like – not Tristan Thompson, that's the basketball player. Tripton Thompson, is that what his name is? It's something like that. Number 17, that kid was flying around, splashing around against the backups. Does he have a chance to make the team? Does Kenny Anderson have a chance to make the team? Are we finally getting rid of the Swiss Army knife from Texas A&M, who I can never remember his darn name? Norwood, I think. Trey Norwood, there we go.
Yeah, Norwood.
Does he finally get cut? Do we keep only 4 safeties, which would mean Killebrew's the last guy to be kept on the safety? And we're going to go part 2. Actually, we'll let you... Laskers, Gingy, take away on the safeties because there's a lot to talk about with the coroners. So we'll just go on the safeties. What are you guys seeing happening there?
I definitely think Norwood's probably going to make the team.
Yeah, when you're talking about the lower end of that too, Donkey, Killebrew has some major plays on special teams the last couple of years.
Zero doubt that dude makes the team. He's our special teams captain. We didn't bring back Derek Watt for a reason.
Right. So, okay. So, with that being said, I didn't see much from Keanu Neal. I didn't hear much from Trey Norwood this preseason, however.
He was hurt the last 2 games, so not a good thing to happen for a fringe roster guy.
No, it's not. I think that he might have the body of work. He got some real time last year, didn't he, Donkey? I think he did.
Yeah, he got torched quite a bit, too.
Hey, maybe it was a bad time, but so maybe they don't want to put that tape on. I don't know, Donkey. Yeah, that might be the end for him, but we'll have to see how some of these newer guys are developing here.
And the last part about the questionable, all right, Peterson looked a little slow in the preseason action I saw. Levi Wallace is who Levi Wallace is. He's a good cornerback, too. Joey Porter Jr. showed flashes of high-end potential, and then the two-handsy guy who doesn't have the best footwork and gets himself out of position. You know, a rookie who you don't know is going to go either way. Yeah, sounds exactly like what Joey Porter Jr. should be. So you got those 3 guys fighting on the outside. James Pierre probably on the outside looking in now unless they keep 6 corners. And the reason for that is both guys who are trying to vie for the slot corner spot deserve a roster spot. That's Elijah Riley, who, by the way, came to the Steelers as a safety, now playing slot corner, could very much be a fringe safety corner depth guy, which lets you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And I don't know if you remember preseason game 2, but the highlight to me was that corner blitz, because we haven't had those good ones since Mike Hilton. When Shandon Sullivan comes off the corner blitz, bats the ball in the air, and makes the interception on his own batted ball. I think both those guys have to make the roster, Gingy.
Yeah, let's hope so. What do I always talk about, Donkey? Week after week, you're going to keep hearing it. Splash plays. Those are the ones that I like to see, all right? Those are the ones that change the game around. You give up a few first downs, if you have them in reasonable field position, okay, right? You bend, but you don't break. I've seen many a Steeler defense succeed that way.
True that. And Laskers, I want to get into you with the outside linebackers. Obviously, Watt, Highsmith, you're going to get a lot of pressure there. Marcus Golden, probably going to be a really good run stopper. Also got some pressure that last preseason game, albeit against backups. If you haven't seen, Baby Herbig is an absolute monster. That kid has good pass rushing moves. He's a little undersized, so we'll see how he does against the main guys. But looks like a guy who can come in and steal some snaps away. And then probably only keep 4 of them. Maybe there's a 5th. But they have a couple guys I'd love to see sneak on the practice squad, and that's Quincy Roche and David Perales. Now, Perales looked terrible when they played him against the ones in preseason week 2, but he looked really good last week. And he's an undrafted guy this year. But if we could steal those 4 and put those 2 on the practice squad, depth at outside linebacker might be something we have for the first time since I have
Forever?
no idea. Yeah.
I mean, you got to have depth at outside linebacker, and it'd be nice to be able to hold some people because, I mean, we got to think about Watt does have his injury proneness. So
he is a Watt, yes. They tend to hurt their arms a lot.
Whoa.
Say what you want.
Take
Watts
it
hurt their
easy.
arms a lot, Gingy.
Take it easy,
It's a
fellas.
They're
We gotta
Relax.
Gingy,
we gotta
they
have
are
some
too
preseason.
stacked up top, and
no,
they hurt their
Gingy,
arms.
this has
They
nothing
hit
to
you
do
too
with
hard.
preseason. We got to have some depth, you know. You can't replace Watt, but you might as well have someone that might, you know, have some chance to replace Watt.
And let's not pretend like our 2 starting outside linebackers aren't undersized, Gingy. Both of them are undersized pass rushing type guys. You need a big guy who could go in on first and second down and take some of the pressure off those guys so they're healthy end game. That's Marcus Golden, which thank God we finally signed him 5 years after I've been begging for it. And then maybe Baby Herbig with those pass rush moves add something, Gingy. I mean, are you impressed by what you've seen from the littlest guy on that outside linebacker room?
Absolutely. Let me tell you why. Little, so what? He is dipping underneath. You see how low that guy's getting?
Does he remind you of someone when he dips that low?
Yeah, kind of.
He's nowhere near as big as that guy I'm talking about, but that dip, bro.
You talking about Harrison?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He's getting at a real low angle and dipping around these real tall guards on that end, and that was a heck of a move. I think he's really got good handwork for a rookie too. I've seen him throw a few splashes and a few guards up.
Watching
kind of advanced stuff.
Watching him just make Deion Dawkins look like a non-player is what turned my thought process on him. Because I'm like, ooh, he's an undersized guy who's beating backups. When he went out and did that, I'm like, this kid might have it.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see. Like, it's still preseason. We shall see.
Now, Laskers, do you remember when we were talking about who the Steelers should take with the first pick of the second round? And do you remember how I said I'd be really mad if they didn't take someone?
No, I definitely don't remember that.
All right, well, that's someone that I said we need to take or I'll be mad about was Keanu Benton, and we ended up with him later in the second round, thank goodness. And Gingy, do we finally have a run-stuffing nose? Is it possible we have one?
That would be so fantastic. We need it badly. Because, again, if you're talking about the suspectness, which I wasn't, right? But you were. The suspectness of those inside linebackers, having a good spearhead there up front would be a big help.
That will always make him look better against the run, that's for sure. Now, when we talk about this defensive line, you're talking about always injured Ogunjobi, which, the fact that we gave him another contract after that guy can't prove to stay healthy scares me. Really does. You have Ogunjobi, you have Cam Hayward getting up there in years, but then you got some depth guys. Liao's looking to really take steps forward. Benton looks like a good piece in the middle. That gives you 4 solid pieces. Who else makes this team? I mean, Amari Watts really showed out last week. Loudermilk has had the best preseason he's ever had. Does that keep him on the roster? You have fringe roster guys like that. You also have Federico, who was brought in to be a no-stopping run. You have the former starter, Montravius Adams, there, but he's looking like he might be on the outside looking in, Gingy. Are you concerned that the Steelers have so many of those 5th or 6th defensive line prospects that we're going to take the wrong ones?
Yeah, it's possible. For me, it's the L&L. It's the Liao and Loudermilk. I think those. I agree. I mean, we've been developing that guy since day one. He is. I see it coming along. Let's keep it rolling. Yeah, we have a lot of them though. Donkey, you never know. It's about who can stay healthy. Who can stay healthy in December when the games matter?
That's true. At nose, though, who are you looking at there? I mean, you have Montrevious Adams, you have Federico, you have Amari Watts. Laskers, any of those names stick out to you?
Not really.
Adams.
I like Watts, Amari Watts. That's the one I like, Gingy. So we'll see. There's going to be the cut downs coming. We're going to have something to talk about because next week there's no football, right? We have to wait another week before the Niners game.
Yep.
All right.
No football on Labor Day.
Closing thoughts on the preseason, Gingy. Laskers, I'll let you be because you openly admit not to have seen it. Closing thoughts, preseason. Gingy, go ahead.
I'll tell you what, I'm more excited for have seen in it, Donkey. You know what I'm saying? I believe more in what we were talking about in the off season during the nonsensical times, right? Some of that's becoming a reality. Maybe last year there was a bit of over optimism and some things that were going on. This year, I mean, 3-0 in the preseason is 3-0, but we have a plan, man. We have something to build around, and it's for once, it's not the core isn't defense. I feel like
it is not.
And that's not necessarily a bad or a good thing. It's just it's another big change. Again, this franchise, this team is changing. The franchise remains the same. The team is really changing. The GM mixing it up, bringing in new people. We have an opportunity to see something different, especially on offense, Donkey. I'm excited.
Me too. Baby hands and all seems to be getting it done. And the reason I want to point this out is because a guy who brought himself into the number 3 draft pick, not because of performances ever done on the field, but because he's 6'5", he runs a 4.5, he can throw the ball 70 yards. Trey Lance got traded today. The 49ers give up on a guy that they traded 3 first and a third-round pick in order to get the draft pick to acquire Trey Lance. He only makes 4 starts as a San Francisco 49er, and he leaves there doing nothing, and he goes, and he didn't get traded to be a starter. He's traded to be Dak Prescott's backup. And let's talk about some of the names that Trey Lance was traded for. They include draft picks that were Micah Parsons. Oi, that's going to bite you in the nuts. I think it's Colin Strange, who's the starting guard for New England. Don't know if he's going to actually keep that job. And Brian Brees, who was the number 1 rated or number 2 rated, I guess is number 2. Number 2 rated nose type of player coming out in this year's draft. My gosh, Gingy, when you give up the farm to get a quarterback and you trade him less than 3 years in, that says a lot. But then what's scary about that, it's our week 1 opponent, the 49ers, and they just came off a year where you should argue they should have been in the Super Bowl. So, does missing on a huge trade-up really hurt that much?
Well, who they got starting?
Well, my gosh. The rookie that last year was tearing it up. Yeah, Purdy? Brock Purdy backed up by Chase Darnold.
Oh, my. I don't know what to think of that. It sounds like that California dreaming, Donkey.
It does. Laskers, there's one other bit of Niner news that might be fun to talk about. Yeah, I believe it's Nick Bosa who plays there. If I got the wrong brother, apologize.
You're right.
I do. Okay, Nick Bosa holding out right now. That could be a huge win for the Steelers come week 1, could it not?
Oh, it definitely could be, but I don't think he's actually going to hold out for the season.
Nah, but if he holds out for just 2 weeks, Laskers, we don't have to give a poop about it.
That's true. He's not going to be in full season mode yet.
And then one closing thought before we get if there's any football news you guys want to talk about. Do you find it the dumbest thing in the world that we have a Thursday preseason game and then you get a bye week before the season starts? Like, isn't that just a little odd?
That's definitely a little odd.
Doesn't fit everyone's schedule, Donkey.
Fair enough. Gingy Laskers, any NFL stories that have caught your intrigue to this point, whether it be also Josh Dobbs getting traded, thought we should bring that up. Cleveland getting rid of Josh Dobbs, bringing him to Arizona. Better watch out, Kyler. He's coming for your job.
You stole my line, Donkey. That's what I was going to go after. Because Dobbs, wow, if Murray isn't starting the season, he's still recovering from an ACL, right?
I believe he will not be starting the season.
So Dobbs is out there fighting for a starting spot, I'm thinking.
They still should have Colt McCoy, right? The backup.
Okay,
back,
so
like,
Dobbs is fighting for a starting spot
name?
then. Exactly my point.
Hey, Colt McCoy is like the ultimate of backup names, all right? If you want that backup who's going to give you a chance to win, it is literally Colt McCoy. Him and, who was that dude who started
Texas.
for a while? No, who's that dude who started for a while in Minnesota? And you can say Texas here, too, because I think he was a Texas quarterback. Case Keenum, not Texas University, but one of the schools in Texas. Those two guys, to me, are the prototypical backup quarterbacks. They're small, they're undersized, but damn will they give your team a chance to win. And if you start them, you'll look silly. I guess we can throw Taylor Heineke now in that mix as well. All those guys, I love every single one of them because backup quarterbacks are always fun to root for. So, Gingy, I'm sorry I stole your thunder. Any other fun stories for you?
That's all we're looking at for me.
Laskers, any fun stories for you?
No, definitely no fun stories from me.
Is Stephon Diggs really going to get out of Buffalo, or is that hype?
No, he's not. That's all hype.
Okay, fun story number 2 then. Where's Jonathan Taylor going to end up?
Miami.
Makes too much sense.
Taylor.
Makes too much sense.
Why doesn't Chicago take him? Don't they have cap? Don't they need a running back to back up a young quarterback?
Didn't Chicago just... I thought Chicago just spent a first-round draft pick on a run. No, that was Detroit that spent a first-round draft pick on a running back. But Chicago
that whole thing is crazy. That whole story out there in Indy, what they're doing, they have a young quarterback starting. They got a rookie quarterback, okay?
Yeah, but when you get that
Taylor,
guy...
But that's the whole...
You get that guy who becomes the cancer and wants out of the team. Do you keep Le'Veon Bell once he burns the bridges, Gingy? Because we've went through it, and I think the Steelers did it the right way. You can't keep that guy.
You get rid of Le'Veon and Antonio.
No, you figure out how to not let Vontaze Burfict hit Antonio and send him into crazy land, Laskers. That's the go back in time thing, all right? Ben does not throw that ball over the middle. We lose that game to Cincinnati. But in the long run, the team is better off because Antonio Brown doesn't go loopy. All right, alternate universe take. Watching too much sci-fi, I guess, recently, Gingy. All right, so this is Final Call. Stories.
You're watching too much Back to the Future, Donkey.
I've watched that movie like twice in my life. Not a big fan. Everyone can hate me for that. So definitely not Back to the Future, Laskers. Last call. Football stories. Are there any before we get to shout-outs?
I don't have any.
None at all. Okay. Heard. Shout-outs. Laskers, do you have one since you just came back?
No, I actually don't.
Gingy, preseason's over. Are we allowed to have a shout-out from you?
Yeah, I'll do that. Shout out to all them guys going through the cut-down process. What a hard part of the year, right? Trying to get it down to 53.
Yeah. By Tuesday.
You know, everybody working their ass off. Shout out to all them guys who do and do not make the team. Hope somebody picks you up on the waiver wire.
Gingy stole my thunder this time, so we're even now. My shout out also is to all those roster guys who don't make the roster. They put in the time, they put in the effort, and they tried to give you the entertainment we all love for the preseason. And putting your body on the line like they do for pennies when you look at what the offseason pay is, not the easiest thing to do. I wish them all nothing but the best, and I hope that if you don't make a team, the dream continues and you find your way later into a team or into one of the new fun leagues like the XFL or USFL. That is all we're going to give you today. I am the Viking Donkey. That's Viking_Donkey at Twitch and Twitter. Your daily dose of donkey. But Ginger is a YouTube channel where you get the fun content, get to hear the talking, the banter, the back and forth. We'll get back into season. We'll get back into form. We will make sure that Donkey tries to push Gingy's buttons every time he doesn't take a hard line stance, because that is the core of what we do here. Laskers, let them know.
Yeah, it's the Laskers everywhere. You can find me on, I guess now it's not the X instead of Twitter, but
Fair.
But Laskers everywhere. Gingy, over to you.
Gingy in the house. Donkey, you'll never take me alive. We are hanging out. We are rocking. We are rolling. Holy smokes, folks. If you don't got them warmed up, why don't you just get it, pick up and wave it a couple times, because you're going to get ready. 2 weeks away. Regular season football. Here we go, Steelers. Wave them if you got them.